This is the third part of a conversation with my friend, Dr. Michael Rich, who's a Harvard pediatrician and professor of public health at Harvard Medical School. And in this third part, we want to talk about how we're going to get through this. We know that this isn't a short-term issue that's only a week long. It's more like a COVID winter, not a COVID blizzard. So, Michael, with children at home, how can parents work remotely and still retain their sanity?
Well, I love your metaphor of the COVID winter instead of a blizzard, because first of all, we shouldn't treat this as an indefinite snow day. This needs to be as normalized as possible. So the best way to do that is to duplicate at home the conditions and the routines of their usual school day. This has two functions. One is to maintain the parents' and children's productivity and sanity, but the other is really to maintain a routine which will reduce anxiety around the unknown of this pandemic. So create a schedule that fits with their normal school day. Have them wake up at normal times, have them go to bed at the normal times, and have times for thinking and learning online or with books, and have breaks in that time for snacks, for physical activity, for getting outdoors. Also to build in time for their friends. Remember that school is a big social, emotional learning experience as well. So build in times when they can FaceTime or Skype with their friends and just be silly together or to work on projects together. And also write this down so that you're not constantly making it up and freestyling it, but the parent and the kids know exactly who's doing what when. Have dedicated workspaces. The whole family can gather around the dining room table and work together, or not, but have dedicated workspaces, dedicated play spaces, help them get outdoors, but they'll need to avoid public playgrounds because we now know that this virus can live on plastic or metal for up to 3 days. So have them climb a tree, take a walk, walk with the dog. But let's use this time in ways that not only give us some structure to the time and reduce anxiety, but also use it to learn something special that they've always wanted to learn, but the normal demands of school and life don't let them get to learn. So there are wonderful resources online. Khan Academy is one of them, where kids can learn everything from cryptography to marine biology to another language. And so let's take this time to learn something special that they can then bring back to their classroom when this is all over at the end of this winter.
And I think also to remember that parents are not alone in this. Teachers, and I'm really proud of my colleagues in Alberta, working for the Alberta Teachers Association, I see teachers that have reached out to parents immediately as they started to move, as classes were canceled and they moved to an online format, to really be partners in learning and to help set up some of that structure and that routine. Because that message of both structure and no structure, the ability to have routine that's written down, but also free play, I think that's really critical. And recognizing, actually, as we've talked about technology, that we need to also think about not using technology in some places. We know in Alberta, young people who were working at a distance, when the libraries shut down, they didn't have access to computers anymore. So how do we have both print and digital combination of resources, if those are possible, to help learn and move forward? So one thing people may not know, Michael, is that you're the director of the Center on Media and Child Health at Boston Children's Hospital. And your center has done a great deal of work on issues around screen time. So one of the questions that's come to us is how much screen time is appropriate in these extraordinary times?
Well, I think that given that we have screens all around us, either our own screens or screens in public spaces, the concept of screen time limits is really obsolete. We need to think about limiting screen time, but limiting it to that which is productive and helpful. Kids are incredibly adept at using smartphones and moving around the internet. They move seamlessly between the online and offline spaces in their lives. but they also tend to slide into the path of least resistance and go to fun things and divert themselves, and to see the internet as kind of a playground. I see this as an opportunity for them to reframe and energize and improve their use of this power tool called the internet. We now depend on it for learning. We now depend on it for connecting with others that we love and care about. We now depend on it for being in touch with the world and retaining and enhancing our humanity. So I think that we can start to think about this not as screen time limits, but as limiting screen time, not because what's there is bad, but because it displaces other things that may be richer, more human experiences, like getting outside and climbing a tree or walking with the family, et cetera. And so I think that we now have done a great job of using technology to have the world at our fingertips. But now we need to choose how to use it as the power tool it is for the powerful things it can do, but not to waste time on it.
So it's going to be inevitable that young people get bored. Do you want to talk a little bit about boredom?
I love boredom. I think boredom is one of the greatest things that we have. Now, why is that? We've developed this kind of aversion to boredom, and we pull out our smartphones or tablets or run to the nearest screen to avoid boredom. But boredom is where imagination and creativity happen. So when kids say, "I'm bored," congratulate them. Tell them they have managed to get to the place where Pablo Picasso and Albert Einstein got to do their best work. So I think we should embrace boredom, and we should model that for our kids. We should use it as time to tell stories to each other. Use that as times to sing songs to each other. Use it as times to make each other laugh. God knows we need that. And so I think that we should take a step back and reassess our relationship and bring back boredom.
So, this is, I think, a really important moment for us to think about those relationships that you're talking about, not just laughing and being together, but also pandemics can be really hard on relationships and hard on the normal functioning of society. So, in closing, how do you think we are going to get through this?
Together. We have to be together. We have created the me generation in many ways. And it's too easy in that situation to panic and fight for ourselves. This is not a war where there's a clear enemy. It's not us against them. This is us with us. We need each other to survive and thrive in this new environment. We, the people, are at equal risk, and we need to work together toward the common good. So let's flip the M in me. Let's turn it to we. And let's realize that we should look up from our phone and smile at someone. We should realize that we're all in this together and appreciate and respect each other and ourselves enough to make those connections. We live in an extraordinary time, and it is said that extraordinary times give rise to extraordinary people. Well, guess what? Those extraordinary people started out as ordinary people like you and me. So this is our opportunity to step up and become extraordinary together.
I think, Michael, this has been a wonderful conversation. I want to thank you as both a friend and a colleague, as a parent and as a teacher. And, we talked about this being a COVID winter, not a COVID blizzard, but spring and summer will come if we work together, as you said. So, Michael, I want to say thank you. And I look forward to socially connecting at a distance and playing together and collaborating together in the next weeks and months ahead. Thank you so much.
Thank you.